It's always my favorite part, the anticipation.
Right.
Zoom letting everybody in.
Right. It's like, let's get started.
Which we just hit the button and they just all show up, right?
Right. All right. See, trickling in. Thank you for joining this morning. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes. Those Wednesdays usually drag a little bit, so we're just going to give it a minute to let everybody join the room. Thanks, everybody. All right, I think what we'll go ahead and do is we'll just get started and let everybody get acquainted as they're filling in the room here. My name is Thomas Barr with Local First Arizona, and we host these ongoing workshops to provide different ideas and resources to small businesses in Arizona. And we're excited today because a lot of the feedback that we've been getting from businesses for the last several months, as everybody knows, is what is going on with the workforce and hiring in Arizona, and what types of different ideas, resources, opportunities are there for businesses in our state to think creatively and differently and differentiate yourself from other businesses to hire great people. And so we reached out to our partner and longtime member of Local First, Ryan England, who's going to introduce himself and also present to you today to give you just some different strategies, ways to think about how you can attract people and onboard them into your businesses. And so if you have any questions today while this is happening, you're welcome to utilize the Q&A box. That's the best place to get questions into Ryan as he's presenting. He may answer real time or hold them till the end, but we're also going to be posting things into the chat box as we're delivering today as well. So with that, Ryan, I'll give it right over to you. Thank you so much for being here and excited for your workshop today. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. You guys will see as we go through this, I'm really passionate about this topic. So let me get my screen shared up here and got a presentation we'll go through. But I just want to say again, thanks, Thomas, for having me here. Yes, I've been a part of Local First for a long time, and it's actually taken us quite a while to get here. And so I'm really excited to be here, really excited to pass some of this information on to your members. So as Thomas said, my name is Ryan England. I'm the CEO and founder of Core Matters. And my purpose for being here today is just really to contribute to you as business owners and business leaders. I want you to walk away from this workshop with one or two things that you'll be able to go implement in your business right away to really help you overcome any of the hiring challenges that you have. So today's topic is going to be about hiring and retaining Rockstar employees. And I use the term Rockstars because most people want really good people on their team. I like to call them Rockstars. And we'll get into that in a little bit more. But as you go through this today, if the ideas don't resonate with you, if it doesn't make sense, if it's something you're just like, yeah, I don't see how that's going to work for my industry, that's okay. I still want you to get some value out of it. Take what you learned and then toss the rest away. But if you find that this stuff is really good and it's really valuable and you can see yourself transforming the way you hire and retain employees with the information I'm about to share, I'll give you an opportunity to reach out and connect with me and my team, learn a little bit more about how we can help you do that. Before I get started, we're going to put into the chat. In fact, it might already be there. There is a worksheet for today's workshop. We're actually going to get some work done today. We're going to do something that is going to help you change your job advertisements so that you can start attracting better people. You can see that the link here is in the chat. Go grab that worksheet. It is fillable on your computer, so no need to print it out. It'll give you some new ideas and some new strategies on how you can attract better people. As I said, my name is Ryan England. I am the CEO and founder of Core Matters. You see, I grew up in a blue-collar entrepreneurial family. My dad was in manufacturing. He had his plant down here in Phoenix. And I remember as a kid going down to the plant with him after school, on vacation, when I was out of school, or even on weekends, and helping him reorganize the warehouse, helping him recycle plastics, or even move machines around. It wasn't until I was older that I realized that I was inexpensive labor for him. And it was an opportunity for him to actually get some work done by someone he could trust, his son. So fast forward a couple of years, and I remember my dad coming home one day and he was so excited because he had this brick phone. I don't know if you remember these phones from the 80s. I mean, they wouldn't even fit in your pocket. You had to clip them on your belt. And he was so excited because now he'd be able to separate himself from the plant. He'd be able to spend more time hanging out with a family, going on vacations, doing those things because he now had this cell phone. Fast forward a couple of years, and again, I realized that this brick phone and this lack of employees was a leash to his business. And so I did like any good son would do. And I said, I'm not going into family business. I'm actually going to go into corporate America. I'm going to go get my degree. I'm going to go to corporate. And while I learned a ton of things there, like the importance of process, the importance of systems, the importance of hiring great team members, it just still wasn't for me. I thought I would have this freedom by being in corporate America, that I'd be able to make a difference and change things. And that didn't happen. So I left and I went and started my own business because I really wanted to make a difference in the lives of entrepreneurs. I wanted to break this cycle that I saw my dad going through and so many other entrepreneurs going through, where they get into business and then the business eventually owns them. They don't actually own the business. So as I'm growing my business, I ran into this same thing that my dad was running into. I had a good growing business. I had great clients, but all of a sudden I was so stressed that it started manifesting itself as additional health problems. When I talked to my doctor, like, you got to get rid of the stress. I'm like, but this is my business. Like, I got to grind. I got to work through it. Because of the stress, because of the lack of people, we actually had so many clients coming to us because we did a good job that we couldn't take them all. We even had existing clients that we couldn't do more work for. So we had to turn away work, which just added on to the stress. Then once we finished that, and I'm just like overwhelmed, I became a new dad. And for the first time in my life, I realized if I don't break this cycle, I'm going to be excited about all of the leashes that I have back to my business that are going to pull me away from my family and the reason that I really went into business in the first place. So I was talking to a mentor of mine and he said, Ryan, recruiting is all about good marketing and a great process. And if you can do those two things, you can hire as many people as you want. So I set out to build the process that I'm about to share with you. And I put it into my business and I was able to hire people so much more easily. And they were good people. We weren't making the hiring mistakes anymore. They were sticking around. They were motivated. They were productive. They were taking great care of our clients. And when my clients would come to me and say, hey, Ryan, we got to stop doing this. We got to stop doing the work you're doing for us. I know you're doing a great job creating leads for us and making our phones ring, but we don't have people. We're stuck. I said, let me show you what I did in my business, particularly for frontline employees. And I remember there was an HVAC contractor in Phoenix in July who said, we got trucks sitting empty in the yard. And until we put people in those trucks, we put technicians in those trucks, we can't take on more calls. So it was hurting our ability to grow. So I showed them what I was doing. I implemented it in their business. And then 3 weeks later, they called me. They said, turn the leads back on, get everything going. This is working great. So I started sharing it with more and more of these home service contractors that we served. And that became our jump into the core-fit hiring system, and helping companies implement this system so that they could hire technicians, frontline labor, general labor. We even did some work in construction space, which if you're familiar with that at all, there's a huge skills gap and not a lot of new people going into that industry. And once we were able to put this into business, my health problems went away. We could take on all the new clients we wanted because now we could help them hire as well. And then finally, I was able to make those choices and get out of the business and start spending more time with the family that I was so excited about. So why is it that hiring good people is so hard? Why is finding them so difficult right now? What I'd love you to do is put your responses in the chat. I've got the chat open. I'd love to see what your thoughts are on this. And then, by the way, too, if you have questions, throw them in the Q&A. I usually do these where we're live and we're able to interact. So I want to be able to provide as much of that as possible. So throw any questions you have in the Q&A. These are some of the things that we hear quite frequently. There's just not enough people applying. If I just had more applications, I could find good people. The people that do apply, they're not good quality. There's just a real lack of quality in the applications we're receiving. We can't find them. Heck, one of the biggest topics right now is we can't afford them. Like we build a business around positions that had a certain amount of pay, and these people are coming in and they're asking for $3, $4, $5 more an hour than we can really afford. Maybe we're a real small business and we don't have benefits. We can't compete on that. Maybe we don't have paid time off, or we don't have health benefits. We can't find people that can actually have the skills, that can do the work. People are leaving the industry. We're seeing this in healthcare right now. We're seeing this in restaurant and hospitality. People are leaving the industry and there's not enough new people coming in to really support that. So let me share with you some honest truths. If the only way you're recruiting right now is by posting to the job boards, it's an uphill battle because quality hires aren't there. You'll get 82% of your applications from the job boards. When I say job boards, I'm talking about Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Monster, Career Builder, maybe even Craigslist if you're still using that. You'll get a lot of applications, yet only just over 1% of your hires are going to come from those applications. And on average, you're going to interview 20 people to make one hire. This is from the job board. So if the only place you're looking for people is from the job boards, it's an uphill battle. It's a struggle. You get a lot of applications, a lot of people you have to say no to. That's a lot of time screening. And then you're going to have to interview so many people to find the one that's going to fit. And if you need someone today, a lot of times we don't have that amount of time to make that happen. Here's another truth for you. Millennials are here to stay. As of December 2020, they now account for 50% of the workforce. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this right now. You might be a millennial business owner. That's fantastic. Even millennial business owners have jokes about millennials. But I will tell you, millennials are one of the hardest working generations that I see out there. And they now account for 1 out of 2 people. So if we're not attracting millennials, the younger generation, into our business, we're missing out on more than half of the applicant pool. You see, millennials prioritize skill development and training. It's not just about money. It's definitely not about a pension or retirement or anything like that. What's driving millennials to switch jobs is a lack of sense of purpose, a lack of this feeling of I'm making a difference in the world. And if you have the right mission and the right values, 86% of millennials will take a pay cut to come work for a place whose mission and values align with their own. So right now, one of the biggest complaints I hear is everybody wants too much money. And while that might be true in some industries, that might be true for some jobs, I will tell you my experience, our clients, what we're seeing is they are hiring good people who are actually taking a pay cut to come work for them. The other thing is people are only passively looking for work. More than 70% of job seekers are passively looking. And if you're not familiar with that term, passive job seekers are those ones that are employed. I always ask people, like, where are all the good people? They're like, oh, they're working for somebody else. Well, those are passive job seekers. You may have heard some of the recent stats. In the next 12 months, they expect 80 million Americans to switch jobs. They're calling this the Great Resignation. where people are just leaving work and they're going to go figure it out. And some people are going to gig work. Some people are going to other industries. Some people are just looking for a better place to belong. And here's why this is happening. And this is really important for employers to understand this. 3 out of 4 people say looking for a job is one of life's most stressful events. A full 75% of job seekers think it is one of life's most stressful events. This is on that same list as a terminal health diagnosis or death of a loved one or divorce. I mean, these are super stressful situations. Looking for a job makes that same list. So as employers, it's our responsibility to meet the job seekers where they're at, to make this an easy process for them, to communicate with them, to make sure that we're following up with them. It's stressful enough. The last thing we need to do as employers is make this more stressful for them. Everything that we do is built around this premise that people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. If I'm a machine operator and I'm applying for machine operator jobs at another manufacturer, or if I'm an electrician and I apply to be an electrician, or if I do customer service and I apply for customer service somewhere else, I'm not switching jobs. The work I do is the same work. What I'm doing is I'm looking for someone new to sign my paycheck. And I want you to understand that for a lot of job seekers, not just millennials, for the majority of them, it's not about the work as much as it's about the place where they work. So if you've got retention problems, if you've got high turnover, if you have employees who aren't productive, if you have employees who don't feel motivated, 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 times out of 100, it's not the employee that's the problem. It's the work environment that's the problem. Remember, these people are leaving their families, they're leaving their hobbies, they're leaving the things they care about to come work for you. And so if we can operate under this premise that people are looking for a new place to work, we can change the way we write our job ads. We can change the way we do our recruitment marketing. We can change the way we participate in the conversation to get in front of job seekers. So if you want to throw in the chat real quick, what is your least favorite part of hiring? The thing that if you never had to do it again, you would be okay. For me, it's screening resumes. I dread when I come in on a Monday morning and I've got 10 new resumes. Yes, someone agrees with me in the chat. Screening resumes, absolutely. I dread it when I come in on Monday morning and I got even just 10 new resumes to look at. And I got to go through and be like, oh, this person didn't finish the application. Oh, this person doesn't know how to spell. Like, I got to look through all these things and like, what's really matters? What's really important? And then being an entrepreneur myself, I love everybody and I need the help. So I look at that and I say, oh, I got 10, let's interview 10 of them. But then I quickly realize that might not be the best use of my time. So here are some of the other things we hear: writing the job description. We're actually going to talk about writing job ads here shortly. Looking through resumes, following up with applicants, keeping it all organized, the interviewing process, which is actually my favorite part of the entire recruiting process, is the interview. That's where you really get to build a relationship and get to know this person. Telling people no. This is one of our biggest challenges we work with our business owners on. They don't want to tell people no. They might find somebody they make an offer to, and they've got 2 others that are backups. But they're going to hold on to those backups. They're going to keep them on the sideline just in case their primary candidate doesn't accept the offer or doesn't work out. And that just continues the cycle of job seekers being stressed about looking for a new job. So finalizing the decision, onboarding and training, doing it until we get it right. That's one of the biggest challenges for business owners, is that we have to continue to do this, not just as our company grows, but as people leave us. So let me give you 3 surefire steps to attract and hire rock stars. These are 3 things that you can go do right now in your business to attract rock stars. And I'm going to use this word attract quite often throughout the rest of this workshop. Because I think the problem we have is employers are too often looking for people, and they're not thinking about how do we attract people. So the first thing you can do is share your story. If you look over here on the left-hand side of this slide, you'll see our core fit hiring system model. This is what we do over here at Core Matters. This is all we do, is help small businesses implement our system so that they can attract, hire, and retain the best people they've ever had. And you see here, we start at the core. This is the part of your business that's foundational. It's the part that doesn't change. You might know it as core values or a mission statement. And while those things are important, they're often too internal to help with your recruiting. What we want to do is we want to take all of that great information, that great story, your vision, and we want to promote it to the world. So when you can get really clear on your story, you will start attracting the right kind of people to your business. And your company's messaging matters. Now, you may have thought about this from a customer acquisition perspective. I need a website and I need blog articles and I need social media content so that customers know who we are. And that works, but that doesn't help with the recruiting side of things. But if you flip the way you think about it and you started developing messaging and a story to attract people, attraction's attraction. So if you're attracting people that are going to be great employees for you, you're still going to continue to attract great customers. You'll reduce turnover by 28% when you invest in employer branding. Job seekers are 3 times more likely to trust an employee about the company. When I'm in large rooms, I'll have people raise their hands. You know, how many people have customer testimonials on their website? And almost every hand goes up. You know, if you throw review sites like Yelp and Google in, every hand's up in the room. And when I ask how many of you have employee testimonials, not the owner saying how awesome it is, but an actual employee saying, it's a great place to work. I'm so glad I made this change. Just one employee testimonial recorded on an iPhone, posted to social media could do more for your recruiting in the next 3 weeks than all the Indeed ads in the world. And 75% of hiring managers say it's easier to attract someone if they're familiar with the company brand. One of the downsides, I mean, there's so many advantages to being a small business, but one of the downsides is we don't have the multi-million-dollar advertising and marketing budgets that a lot of these big companies like Amazon have. Like Amazon can get picked up by the press because they're now paying $20 an hour and offering a $3,000 signing bonus. They have that staying power. As small businesses, we don't have that. So if people can't find us, they can't apply for our jobs. The other thing I want you to think about is how do you become attractive to those you want to attract? You see, if everybody that's applying for your jobs just doesn't measure up, if they're not high quality candidates, then I really want you to take a step back and consider that your company, your employer brand may not be attractive to the right people. So here are some ways you can do that. When you tell your story, align purpose and values. Remember when I was talking about millennials? Millennials are really focused on how do I feel like I'm making a difference? Like I want to get out of bed and I want to be excited about the work I do. I want to be able to share it with my friends. I don't want it to be some dead-end job where I just don't feel like I'm making an impact. And when you align purpose and you align values between you and job seekers, you're going to attract the right kind of people. Make sure you message through their eyes. Don't tell them how awesome you are. Tell them about how awesome this will be for them. We talk about this in marketing a lot. If you've ever built a marketing plan or done any marketing work, how does the customer talk about it? How does the customer think? What does the customer want? Why are they really buying from you? Think about in those same terms, job seekers. And we have a process in our program, we call it the Core Fit Profile, that helps you figure out all of this. It's step by step what you need to know about job seekers. Let your employees tell it. I've already mentioned employee testimonials, but equip your current employees, your current team with an employee referral program that really works. Give them a story, equip them with the tools they need to be able to share how awesome of an organization you are. And then keep it real. This isn't a chance to spin things and tell them how amazing and awesome you are and all these great benefits. And then, deep down inside, there's a little bit of dysfunction in your organization. People are very open and willing to work with organizations that aren't perfect when they admit they aren't perfect. And then rethink video. I mentioned the employee testimonial videos. Rethink your core story video. Rethink some other videos that you could use or repurpose for recruiting. You'll increase the number of applications you get by 34% when a video is included in the job posting. Now, most of the job boards will take out the video link. They won't embed it, but you can include a link to the video in the job ad. All right, step 2, define your rock star. One of the biggest things that I see as a problem out there right now is that nobody really knows what good looks like. When I ask companies all the time, I ask employers, what's a good employee look like? They never give me things like, oh, they can turn a wrench, they can use our software, they can follow our scripts. They never say those things. What I always hear is, well, someone that would show up on time would be amazing. Someone that wouldn't belittle our customers, someone that would follow our processes, someone that actually could be reliable and we can count on them to be at work on a regular basis. Someone who's making me more money than costing me money. These are the things we hear. So if we're going to think about who it is we want to attract to our business, we really need to be thinking about who that person is we want to attract. And I've mentioned Rockstars a few times here, and I'm actually going to share with you a little concept I learned a few years ago about the difference between a rock star and a superstar. And usually when I do surveys, I ask, hey, do you want to hire rock stars or superstars? Almost all the hands go up for superstars. I want superstars on my team. And then when I define them and I define those terms, I often get the opposite response when I survey them again later. So if you want to throw in the chat right now, let me know. Do you want rock stars on your team or do you want superstars on your team? So let me share with you the difference. Rock stars are the rocks of your team. They're reliable. They aren't looking to move up. They want to be excellent at what they do. They want to be top 5, top 10%. They want to be in a role that when someone new comes in, you tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, can you show them how to be amazing as you? The thing about rock stars is they're not wanting to climb the corporate ladder. Rock stars are amazing for small businesses because often there's not a ladder to climb. You can't get very far. So they love it. They come in and they can be amazing at just a few things. But often we perceive them as lacking ambition because they don't take on new projects. They don't work well with very little information for starting new projects. What they're really focused on is stability. They want to be able to come in, do an amazing job, and go home at the end of the day. And I would argue that 90% of the people that you need for your team are rock stars. Here's the thing about rock stars. Rock stars know they're good. They know they're good at the work they do. They probably don't switch jobs too often. So their resumes probably aren't going to look that great because they haven't needed one. Their interview skills, so-so. They'll probably be pretty nervous during the interview. They're going to need some hand-holding to get through the process, not because they aren't amazing at the work they do. They're just not amazing at interviewing. They're not amazing at looking for work. So if we start discounting people that show up that aren't perfect in our minds during the interview process, we might be missing out on some really amazing people. Now, let me contrast that with the superstar. Superstars, they want to move up or they move on. And the thing about superstars in small business is you're only going to get them for a very limited time unless you have a career plan for them. Unless you can take them from sitting in a chair, moving them to supervisor, moving them to manager, moving them up. If they can't do that, they are going to move on. because their focus is on advancement. They want more responsibility. They're going to change everything. When you hire a superstar, it's pretty evident in the first 3 or 4 weeks. They're the person that comes in, you're like, why are you doing it different? I showed you the way I want it done and you're doing it a different way. Those are probably your superstars. They're bored with status quo. They want to change things. They want to improve the process. That's what motivates them. But we often look at them as not focused because they just can't keep their eye on the ball. They want growth. We may not be able to offer that to them. So when you get really clear on this and you understand, do I need a rock star or a superstar for this position? It'll change the way that you not only write your ads, but the way you interview them and even the way you make offers and onboard them as well. So how important is the job description to hiring rock stars? Does it really matter? Do they need just the bulleted list of the requirements and the responsibilities? Do they even need that? Maybe they just need to know what it pays. I want to challenge you to think about this because 72% of employers think they have clear job descriptions, which blows my mind that there's still 28% out there that know they don't have clear job descriptions, but they're not fixing it. Yet only 36% of applicants agree with this statement. So while we think it's clear, we haven't done a very good job of creating something that's clear from the job seeker's perspective. So it's important that you put yourself in their seat. One of the easiest ways to do this, take your existing job description, give it to one of your rock stars, and you'll know your rock star. They're the one you talk about in your leadership meetings. If we just had more Jimmys, like if we could just clone Jimmy, that would be it. We would never have to hire again. That's your rock star. Give him your job description. Say, would you apply for this now? Ask him what he thinks. Ask him and say, hey, you've been here a while. Is this right? Is this accurate? Help him to help you get it more clear. Guide him through that process. Walk him through that. You see, 53% of job seekers want expectations clearly explained in the job description. In the job description, they want to know what you expect of them. This might be KPIs, it might be scorecards, it might be metrics, whatever term you use to describe the numbers by which you measure people. What information will be available to them? How often will they know that they're hitting expectations? Spell that out in the job description. When you post that ad out on Indeed, include that information. Because when you invest in a strong candidate experience, which is what we're talking about here, creating a great experience for this candidate, this person that's applied and you said, I want to move them through the process, you'll improve the quality of hires by 70%. So I spent a lot of time talking about job ads now. Let me explain to you here what's a good job ad. And I'm going to use the word ad because I believe what you post on your website, what you post on Indeed, what you put out there, that is an advertisement for someone to join your company. It's not a job description. It's not a job posting. It's an ad. Take it away from HR, give it to your marketing team and say, really help me spice this thing up. Make it so that people are compelled by what they read and they're excited to enter this process to see if they can join our team. So the perfect job ad is engaging. When people read it, they're drawn in. They're like, whoa, I could see myself working here. This is cool. But beyond that, it's keyword optimized. So I don't know if you know about search engine optimization. Most small business owners have some idea what it is because that's how you rank on Google, is you create articles or content that is search engine optimized. Well, here's the truth. Indeed and all the rest of the job boards are just search engines. So if your ads are not optimized based on the keywords that people are searching, they're never going to find your ads. So if you're struggling with applicant flow or getting a lot of applications coming in, really go back to your ads and say, hey, do we have enough keywords in here? Are these the keywords that people would look for? Go back to Jimmy and say, hey, if you were going to look for a job tomorrow, what would you type into Indeed? Now I know it's a little scary because we don't want to plant ideas in his head. But ask him for help. What would he search for? It describes the work environment. Remember, people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. They're looking for a new place to belong. So describe that work environment. What's their hiring manager going to be like? What's their supervisor going to be like? What's the team like? How do you motivate people? Talk about your culture. Talk about the hiring manager. Get really specific. If you know that the hiring manager can kind of be a hard ass, and you know that he kind of can get micro at times, be honest about that. People would rather go into it knowing what to expect than be blindsided later and feel like you misled them during the interview process. And then get really clear on who you don't want and put that in the ad. The thing about people is, especially, I mean, it takes skills to be able to do this, but for most people, when they look at something and you say, tell me what you think, the default reaction is to list all the things we don't like. It takes some skills, some serious training to be able to go through all the things you do like. So if you know what you don't want in an applicant, put it out there, put it in the ad. Here's the 4 sections of the perfect job ad. So the first one is the lead in. This is that first paragraph. They talk about in copywriting, the purpose of the title is to get someone to read the first sentence. And the purpose of the first sentence is to get them to read the first paragraph. It should draw them in. So it should be high impact. It should qualify right away. It's company specific. This is not about your job. This is not about the work they're going to do. It's about you. What is it about your organization and what you want to see in this person that is going to compel them? And it screens people immediately. There are going to be some people that read your lead in and go, I'm out. That's not for me. Not the kind of organization I'm looking to be a part of. You said, put in there what you're not looking for. Behaviors and traits. And we have one client that actually says, if you think that a 7 a.m. start time is a recommendation and that it's okay to be a little late, we're not the organization for you. Like, we believe that early is on time. So at 7 a.m., you should be here at 6:50. That's what we're not looking for. We're not looking for someone that can't get to work on time. We're not looking for someone who likes to talk to customers. We see this a lot. We find people that are amazing at the work they do, that specific job they hired for. But in small businesses, we often have to give people extra hats. Hey, can you help out on the phones today? Can you help doing this? Well, if you're not open to being flexible enough to do other work, you might not be the right fit for us. Talk about the performance that you're not looking for. Again, you might have a metric, you might not have any metrics, but talk about what performance could look like. Put that in the ad and then give examples, just like I did with the getting to work on time. With them. For those of you who don't know, this is a marketing term, and it stands for what's in it for me. And in this case, the me is the job seeker. What's in it for them? Remember, they're looking for a new manager. They're looking for a new boss. They're looking for a new leadership team. So why should they apply for your jobs? Values alignment is super critical, super critical. Now, their core values and your core values don't have to be perfect, but they should value what you value. And you should value what they value. There needs to be values alignment. So speak to the values in the job ad. Speak to the type of people that you're looking for. Talk about the vision of the company. Where's the company going? You might have remember Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, and he talks about getting the right people in the right seats on the bus. And when he's talking about that example, he's talking about it from a leadership team. When you want to build an effective leadership team, you need the right people in the right seats. But when we start talking about our frontline talent, we start talking about our hourly workers, they don't really get a say in where the bus is going. That's the leadership team's responsibility. But if we want to get the right people on the bus, we've got to make sure that they're excited about the destination. Because if they don't see themselves as part of that destination, or they're not excited about the destination, what happens when the bus breaks down? They get off the bus, they call an Uber, and they go find another bus to get on. And small businesses, we break down a lot. Maybe we don't hit our goals. Maybe we lose a key account or we lose a key person. You know, when you're a multi-billion-dollar company, you lose a key account. Okay, you got plenty of key accounts. But when you're a small business, that can be really detrimental. What you want people to do is when the bus breaks down or has to take a detour, you want them to get off the bus and help you get it back on the road because they're pumped about the destination. That's why vision is so important. Purpose, help them understand the difference that they're making. You know, a lot of times we hear companies say, oh, I want to be $20 million in revenue in 10 years. Like that's our BHAG. Well, that's great. But what's in it for them? How does that align to their purpose? What's going to get them out of bed every morning to help you achieve that goal? And then talk about the hiring manager. Remember, they didn't leave a job, they left a manager. So talk about the benefits of your team and who their manager is going to be and what that relationship's going to be like. Maybe even talk about their leadership style. And then finally, if you know, tell them what you want. Most of us, we want culture alignment. We want someone that is going to fit into our culture, is going to belong on our team, and we're going to want them there. We want rock stars. I'm going to argue that the majority of time you want Rockstar employees, not superstar employees. You want someone who sees that vision. They're excited about the destination. You know, growing up, I remember when my parents were like, hey, we're going to Disneyland. I'd never been to Disneyland, but I knew about Disney and I saw the pictures and I had the toys and I saw the cartoons. And so I had this sense of what Disney was like. I saw the vision of Disneyland. So my parents were like, yeah, it's a 7-hour drive. I was like, oh, that's okay. I'll do it. Like, because I'm excited about where we're going. So make sure that they see the vision and then set proper expectations. If you lose somebody in the first 90 days of employment, either because they left or because you asked them to leave, the number one reason that happens is somebody's expectations weren't met. So let's get really clear up front and really clear in the job ad what those expectations are. And then finally give examples. So if you remember at the beginning of this, there was a link. In fact, we just put it in the chat again. Here's the link to download a little worksheet for you. Like I said, we're going to do some work today. Go to this link, download the worksheet. We're going to walk you through it here over the next 5 minutes. But this is where you're actually going to put pen to paper or get on that keyboard and start thinking through how you define your rock star. Because once you've defined your rock star, the lead in becomes so much easier to write. So hopefully you got that worksheet up. This is the first part of the worksheet, is to define your rock star. Get really clear on who it is that you want. See, we talk about recruiting being very similar to fishing. And if you don't know what kind of fish you want to catch, how do you know where you want to go? How do you know what gear to bring? How do you know how long you're going to be away or how long it might take? You see, I'm getting ready to go trout fishing. Well, now that I know that I'm fishing for trout here in Arizona, there's only so many places that I can go that have good trout fishing right now. And they're all a drive from Phoenix. But if I wanted to go bass fishing, I would go in a different direction. So let's get really clear on who your rock star is. Talk about how they handle responsibility. What behaviors do they exhibit? To identify with a specific community. That can be really important because if they identify with a specific community, you now know, well, that I don't need to be on the job boards. Where do people in that community spend their time? What do they do when they're not at work? Where do they live? What's their work experience? All we're doing here is creating a definition for someone that you want to be able to market to, so that you know exactly where they're at. And if you're struggling with this, go tap Jimmy on the shoulder, your rock star, that one you want to clone, and say, hey, let's talk for a few minutes. What do you do in your spare time? What do you do for fun? You know, often this is why small businesses sponsor little league teams, because they find out that a lot of their employees have young, they're young families. They have young kids that are into sports. So they get involved there. We often think, oh, we do that to get customers, but you can do it to get employees as well. So what do they value? What are they looking for in an employer? What motivates them to perform? You see, if you know what motivates the people you're looking for, the people that you want to attract to your business, and you take a step back and you say, do we provide those motivators in our organization? If there's a disconnect, you either need to change the people you're looking for and the types of motivators that they have, or you need to figure out how to provide those motivators. So what's really important to them? And then finally, what does the market look like? I talked about fishing earlier. If I was going to go down to one of these city lakes, summer just got over, I'm going to be a little disappointed there's no trout in there. If I go down to Lake Pleasant, I'm going to be pretty disappointed that there's no trout in there. So what does the market look like? How many people are in the market? We just had this conversation the other day with a restoration company here in town. I asked them, I go, how many restoration companies are there? I'm like, I don't know, 300. Great. And they each have what, 5 technicians? There's 1,500 technicians just in that, just through your competitors. How many more technicians, how many people could come to the industry, and where are they coming from? Are you willing to relocate someone? It blows my mind when I hear companies say, oh, I spend thousands of dollars a month on Indeed. And I'm like, tell me about your relocation program. They're like, we don't have one. Like, this is Phoenix. Like, we're booming. Help some of these people relocate here. Stop spending thousands on Indeed and give it to your future employee to help them move their family out here. How many other businesses are competing for the same type of employees? What are the current pay and benefits requirements? This one's a little sketchy right now. It's a little all over the place. You got some people that are buying the market and some people that are holding tight, hoping it kind of corrects itself. Then what I want you to do in a few sentences, write a compelling lead-in that will get people excited to apply for your job, whether they see it on the job boards or they see it on the website or even through social media. Write that compelling lead-in. If this was a valuable exercise for you, I'd love it if you just throw in the chat any ahas, takeaways, anything that you learned from this, maybe something that you're going to go back to the office and change so that you can actually improve the quality of people applying for your jobs. So here's step number 3. So we got really clear on our story. We got really clear on who we want to attract. So now we get them in the door. And what I see most businesses doing right now is they slide the mirror across the desk. They say, hold it up, fog it, breathe on it a little bit for me. They look at it and they're like, that's a good amount of fog. You're hired. And it doesn't work. And then we're disappointed. We hired somebody because they're breathing. We hired somebody because they showed up. We made an offer to someone because they applied. And then later we're disappointed and we have to do it all over again. And whether you believe it or not, turnover is expensive, not only financially, but also with morale in your existing team. Remember, people want to come to work with people they like to work with. In fact, Gallup puts out an employee engagement survey, and they say one of the top indicators of whether or not an employee is engaged is one question on their 12-question survey. And that's, do you have a best friend at work? When people say no to that, most likely they're disengaged. So if you've got turnover, if you've got people that don't play well together, that's something that you need to work on. And when you start interviewing these people that are coming in, the new ones, this is where you can create those expectations. This is where you can have that conversation to make sure that they're the right people for your team, the right people for your customers. So let's talk about the core fit screen. This is a process that we've created. We help you implement in our program so that you can make sure that you're interviewing the right people. They are showing up authentically, and you are getting to really know them before you make them an offer. You see, it's open and transparent. One of the biggest challenges, especially people that interview a lot, is they know how to answer the questions. There are very few questions that you can ask that they can't go on Pinterest or Google and find what's the right way to answer. Where do you want to be in 5 years? But that transparency is really important, because if you want them to be transparent, you have to be transparent. It's objective and it's measurable. What do I mean by that? No more are we making decisions on, we like the same sports team, or our kids go to the same school, or we went to the same school. It's objective. We're asking questions that remove our biases so that we can really get to the root of who this person is and determine if they're going to be the right person to serve our team and to serve our customers. And it's measurable, which means even the open-ended questions we measure so that we can give the interview process to anybody in your organization, and they will all reach the same conclusion because they know what answers are expected. This creates a trusting environment. If they're being authentic, if you're being authentic, it's a lot easier to build trust. It creates an opportunity for honest feedback. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you like somebody, when an employer likes somebody and they're like, hey, that was a great interview. Thank you for being here. We'll be in touch. What the heck does that mean? Like, let's create honest feedback. Hey, I've got some concerns. You know, I think on one hand, you're going to be really great, but there were a few things that you said that were kind of red flags for me. The right employee is going to say, well, let's talk about that. I don't want to walk out of here with you having red flags. The same thing can happen too. We've had clients where employees or job seekers have said, you know what, this ain't the right fit for me. Let's not even bother another interview. Makes the process really easy. And you set proper expectations. So here are 3 principles for incredible interviews. Always set expectations: time, purpose, and outcomes. If you do phone screens, it's like, yeah, hey, Susan, this is Ryan. I just got your resume. Really excited to talk to you. Hey, all I want to do in this phone screen, I want to spend 5 minutes. I got just a couple of questions for you. And the purpose for this call is just to see if we like talking to each other. Because if maybe you don't like my voice or you don't like my energy level, and you want to find that out before you commit to an on-site interview or a video interview, let's just talk for a few minutes, see if we like each other. At the end of this meeting, I'm going to let you know. In fact, we're going to schedule your interview, or we're going to agree, hey, it's not the right fit. It's not hard to have that conversation. And job seekers, it brings down their barriers. It brings down their walls because they're so used to, it's the firing squad, I'm being grilled. It's like, no, we're talking about a relationship here. Employee-employer relationship. We want to make sure we like each other. That's going to do so much more for your ability to recruit the right people. We're going to talk about the overall process. If you don't have this in your job ad, if it's not on your website, be really clear with them. Hey, we're going to schedule this, and then here's what the rest of the process looks like. It'll probably take us 3 weeks. Is that going to be okay? Some people can't wait 3 weeks to switch jobs. Toxicity's gotten to them. The stress has gotten to them. Maybe they just found out that they're going to be out of work on Friday. You don't know. So share with them what your process is and make sure that aligns with what they're able to do. And then address any unmet expectations. So you finish it. Hey, did I meet all your expectations today? Is there anything else that we need to discuss? Here's another one. Have a plan. This is not an opportunity to wing it. We talk about process. We talk about creating systems a lot. If a new customer called you today, would you have a plan for how to return their call and answer their questions? You might have scripts. You might have a documented process. You might even have training around it. We need to do the same thing here. So have a plan. What questions are you going to ask during the interview? This isn't a chance to make it up on the spot. Don't go rogue. Don't spend 30 minutes telling them about how awesome you are. This is an opportunity to have a conversation. So make sure you know what questions are going to drive that conversation forward. Talk about measurable results. Really know how you're going to hold this person accountable and what the requirements are of them. How are you going to know if they're doing a good job? How are they going to know if they're doing a good job? Your employees want to win. It's just a human nature thing. We have this drive to win. Some people play harder than others. But if I don't know how we're keeping score, there's no chance I can win. Be really clear on what results are. And make the process objective. That means you're measuring all of the questions you're asking. If you ask, where do you want to be in 5 years? Sit down with your team and figure out, okay, what's a 1 answer? What would it be if someone answered that question this way? I'd give them a 1 out of 5, maybe. And then what's a 5 answer? For me, I like to hire superstars. I really do. I want to hire people that want to help me grow my company and go to the next level and take on more responsibility. That's the stage I'm at in my business right now. So if someone said, hey, I asked them, where do you want to be in 5 years? And they said something like, you know what? I want to be building our team. I want to be interviewing the team. I kind of want to be sitting where you're at. And so you can go off and do business owner stuff. I want to help run the company. That's a 5 answer for me. If someone said, I don't know, maybe I still have a job. Maybe I move back in with my parents. That would be a 1 answer to me. And then figure out what's in between. That way you can give it to your team and they can go do interviews for you. And then focus on behavior versus skills. For the majority of positions that we see companies struggling to hire right now, the amount of actual skill required to do the work is minimal. Yes, they've got to be able to perform. They've got to be able to do the work. But the truth is, you're going to teach them a lot of what you want them to do. You're going to teach them to do it your way. So let's focus on the behaviors. Helps you to interview authentically. We do a lot of pre-hire assessments in the work we do. We want to know about that person faster than we would learn about that person if we just spent time together. And a pre-hire assessment can help you do that. It helps you to interview authentically because it says, wow, it looks like you're a people person. You really like to spend a lot of time with people. Well, this is a data entry position, or this is a field position where you're not going to be able to interact with customers a lot. Is that going to be okay? Have those conversations. Determine cultural fit. Do they align with your values, your vision, and your purpose? And then review skills if necessary. I really challenge you to think about your job ads right now and what your criteria is for hiring somebody. And I would suggest that the majority of what you're looking for isn't actually necessary to perform well in the role. So here are some takeaways for attracting and hiring rock stars. So the first one is to share your story. You have an amazing story to tell. Work with your team to craft the story. If you get stuck, this is something we do in our program. We can help you craft that story as well. Define your rock star. We have the core fit profile we use for that to get really clear on who it is that you're looking for and who's going to be the best fit for your team in that position. And then interview for fit. If the interview is one of your least favorite parts of the hiring or recruiting process, reach out to us. It's something I'm super passionate about. We've done a lot of work around the interview. We've done a lot of work on how do you craft interview questions that help with culture fit, that help with position fit, that set proper expectations. How do you have that conversation? We've done a lot of work around that as well. And remember, above all else, treat them like the rock star that they are. If you're hiring a rock star, when they show up for their first day of work, celebrate them. Be excited that they're there. The last thing a rock star wants to do is walk into a new employer and there's a big wah, wah, and it's like, wow, they're not even excited I'm here. They didn't even finish my background check. They don't even have my computer set up or my devices set up. The truck they're going to give me is in the shop. My hiring manager isn't even here today and they don't have a backup plan for how to train me. Really celebrate them. Treat them like a rock star. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to identify one opportunity, either something I shared here today or something that it just triggered and you're like, oh my gosh, we need to change that. Identify one opportunity for for improving your hiring results. I'd love for you to share it in the chat with us. Create some accountability. When you write it down and you put it out there, there's just something that happens that makes it more real. So if you've got one opportunity, I'd love for you to share it with us right now. And I get it. If you haven't thought of just one, it's probably because there are so many other things that you have to think about in the hiring process. How do you actually write these job ads? How do you manage the job boards? How do you define your culture or write your story? Where do you even start with the interview process? Which pre-hire assessments are the best? We answer all these questions and more inside of our program. I want to share with you some results some of our clients have gotten by implementing the CoreFit hiring system into their business. Jack here, he filled 50 hard to fill positions in less than 90 days. He fought this with his entire leadership team for 9 months before we met. I said, let me get started. Within 90 days, he filled every one of those positions. He was able to make projects profitable that he'd just been burning through overtime on for years. Mike started working with us. And the first job ad we created for him got 83 new applications in 4 days. This was only a couple of months ago. This was right after stimulus checks hit. There were a lot of people that were really excited about joining his team. Jennifer reduced turnover by 414% in 12 months. And she had a larger team. So 414%, that was real money. That was 6 figures of savings. Audrey hired a service manager, took a $10,000 a year pay cut. And Randy's using the system to replace the people he shouldn't have hired and continue to grow his business. And then one of our partner reps over at one of the job boards shared with us, they called us and they said, something's not right. Like the data doesn't make sense on your job ads. You are getting 6 times the number of completed applications than any of our other clients. Tell me what you're doing. What is happening? So here's a little bit about our program. It's a 90-day done with you training and coaching program. So unlike a lot of coaching programs where you just show up and they help you through stuff, we're actually in the trenches with you, building out these processes and then teaching you how to use them. Most of our clients are getting results in as little as 10 days. 10 days after our kickoff call, they are starting to get increased applicant flow, higher quality applications. And they're thinking outside the box. They're doing things that are driving greater results for them. We've got training via our online learning platform. So you can log in and you can take care of the training anytime, day or night, whatever schedule works best for you. We provide implementation and training support. I know that if we don't come alongside and help you implement this, odds are it's not going to get done. So we're there to help you implement it and make sure that these processes end up working inside of your business. We've got great technical support. And we regularly schedule one-on-one private coaching sessions. This isn't something where you're just going to show up and be lost in a group. We're going to work together one-on-one. We are going to hold you accountable through this entire process, because without the accountability, I also know it's less likely to happen. We're going to give you the entire pre-hire process and help you customize whatever you need for your particular situation. We've got ready to go guides, tools, and templates. We're going to give you access to our 5 power tools to help you accelerate your hiring results. We talked about one of them today. The CoreFit profile is one of our power tools. There are 7 factors that you need to consider when you are looking to define the right person. And that's what we walk through. And then after the 90 days, if you need ongoing support, we're here for you. So if you're tired of not attracting good people, I'm going to suggest that maybe it's time you work with a guide. You see, I've mentioned fishing a few times already today. I love fishing. I tell my wife there are 2 things I'll get up before the sun for, and fishing is one of them. Golf is the other. And I've never had a chance to go deep sea fishing before. I've done a lot of inland fishing, rivers and streams and lakes, and I felt pretty comfortable being able to do those things on my own, but I'd never done deep sea fishing. And so I had an opportunity this last summer to go to Florida and go do some deep sea fishing for some dolphin fish. But I had no idea what I was doing. I knew it was different because this is what I saw when I looked back at Florida. We're 22 miles offshore. We're in 1,500 feet of water. And somehow, somewhere, there are fish out in this endless sea. And I'm sure as business owners, sometimes you feel that way. It's like this endless sea. Where are all the job seekers? Out of the millions of 80 million people that are going to switch jobs in the next 12 months, where are they? And I can assure you they're out there. And I was a little skeptical going into this. So I hired a guide. I hired someone who this is all they do. Every single day, people pay them to take them out fishing. And if he doesn't get results, his business isn't going to continue. He has to show them the tricks of the trade and give them the tips and help them understand why he's doing what he's doing. But at the end of the day, I'm the one out there fishing. So here we are. He's like, hey, poles in the water. I was like, how do you know there are fish here? And he starts giving me some tips, some bait fish. There's some birds. He's giving me these tips on how to identify where the fish are. The same kind of tips that we give in our coaching program. And here we are just after a couple of hours, I caught my first dolphin fish. For those of you who don't know, this is mahi-mahi. And I had such a great time and I want to do it again, but I can assure you that I would never do it again by myself. Because even though I learned some of the tips, there's still so much more that I don't know about how to catch one of these gorgeous fish. So if you're struggling to hire, if you're ready for something different, if you're ready for a new process, I'd love to be your guide. I would encourage you to go to our website at corefithiring.com. We've got a link on there where you can get right to our calendar and schedule time to speak with our team. Thomas, Local First, I really want to thank you guys for having me here today. I enjoy this content a ton. I hope that your members get a ton of value out of it, both the ones that are here and the ones that are going to watch us on the recording. And if anybody wants to reach out, have a conversation about how we can help you transform your hiring results, this is our website to go to. Thanks
Awesome.
again, Thomas.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Such incredible content. And gosh, my mind is just kind of racing with ideas right now. And I'm getting messages even outside of the record or the webinar right now that we're doing of people that want to get introduced to you. So looking forward to connecting you.
Awesome.
Really appreciate your time. For everybody that joined today, we're going to have this up on the Local First Arizona YouTube page and the member portal that you'll be able to access. We'll also send it out so you have access to the content and give you Ryan's information if you'd like to get in touch. So once again, Ryan, thank you so much for your time and expertise, and looking forward to getting you connected to everybody in our network. So hope everybody has a great day.
Awesome. Thanks again, Thomas.
Bye.
Bye.